Mr. Barrett Brooks from NBC Sports Philadelphia. How you doing today, Barrett?
Man, of course I'm having car problems, but hey, you know what I'm saying? I just can't make it to the Ricky room, but I can do it from the phone. Let's go.
Yeah, now we're happy to have you. Now, what I tell you every time I see you about that car stuff, every time I see you, I say something about it. Every time, Barrett, you don't never listen to
It's just what I do, man. It's definitely what I do, man. I love working on cars, boats, you name it, I do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to first ask you about the depth of this team right now. Obviously, a lot of offseason to go. There were a lot of guys that that Howie took flyers on last year, whether it be Bourne, which worked out in a big way, Orrin Burks, which worked out really well, even Fred Johnson, who ends up starting 5 games last year, and they won 4 of the 5 games he started in fill-in duty. All of those guys are gone, obviously, other than Bourne. This year's guys seem to be a bit riskier. What do you think about – we know the top end is high. What do you think about the depth of the team right now with still a lot of offseason to go?
Well, you know what? That's probably the most serious thing we need to worry about right now is the depth of the team, because even with the players that left, the starters in 11 on that defense right now are pretty good players. Do we still have the depth? That's going to be the key issue. I mean, you look at guys like that are coming in like Trot Jr., guys that may have to play and be substantial, guys that come in and give great efforts to win games. They will have to make sure that they, playing at a high level. We don't have the depth that we had because now we have to replace those guys. Can we do it in the draft? Howie has done it before. But at this point, we don't have the depth. But I tell you what, our 22 deep are just as good as anybody in the NFL. In fact, better on offense and defense. We'll have to see. It's all about the coaching, and we have some pretty good coaches on that side of the ball.
All right, well, they did bring in one guy that kind of opened some eyes for people, Azeez Ojulari. What is your thoughts on him, and do you think he'll get some playing time next year?
Well, I'm telling people we have to temper our expectations. He's not going to come in and be a Hassan Reddick, but he will come in and generate some pressure. But one thing I'm looking at, he's having some problems, stopping the run. If you look at it, I think the only person right now that can really go out there and make a difference in the run is Nolan Smith. Everybody's built the same on that defensive end, are smaller linebacker-esque type of players. And it's going to be hard. Teams are going to see that because they're going to try to attack those with the run just like the Eagles do. So, that'll be a problem. Will we be able to hold up on big run packages like 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends? Will we be able to handle, 4th down, goal line situation with the smaller type of ends? We don't have the big guys. Like Sweat was a bigger guy on that side who could stop the run. BG is a shorter guy, but he's a thicker guy. He was able to stop the run. Nolan Smith is, just outpowers guys, hits guys, and more athletic, and was just wearing people out on that run. Can these other guys do it? These have some problems doing it. O'Shea has some problems doing that also. I'm looking forward to seeing how we're going to go out there and combat on the defensive side of the ball, stopping the run, on those big downs like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, when teams are running the ball and trying to, make that difference in the game with the run game.
Looking ahead to the draft, and we're not talking about individual players there, Barrett, but you mentioned filling in on some guys. You have that on the defensive line where maybe you need a guy there with some size. Also, as safety and corner, you're going with younger guys, whether it be a rookie or the guys they currently have. Between, though, linebacker where you need depth, corner where you need depth, and safety, which spot do you think they need the depth the most from the draft in those at that position?
I really think it's that safety position. We need a guy right now come in and be that, a veteran type of guy can do both. Not just be that box safety, the strong safety, but also be that free safety to roam around. I love Blankenship, but Blankenship, is kind of challenged on the foot speed. So can he be that, single high safety to go out there and run around? He is definitely a guy mentally to be able to handle that. But sometimes, there's some guys with speed out there will be able to handle it. He's shown the ability to do it, but can he do it consistently? I'm looking for a guy that can do both. Mostly the free safety position, a guy that's going to have to roam around and really make plays in that secondary from the deep safety. We have plenty of guys coming in the box. You look at, Cooper. Cooper can play that hybrid type of safety type of guy, too, that rover type of guy also. But do we have another guy that can do that? I'm saying Sidney Brown, but Sidney Brown has a lot to prove to see if he's a starter in the NFL. There's no question he has all the talent in the world, and he has all the desire in the world. But can he temper that aggressive nature that he has and not get beat deep? That's going to be a big problem for him, and that's going to be huge that he, progresses in his reads and understanding how teams are going to try to take advantage of him being such a guy that's going to be an aggressive player. So I think that'll be the biggest thing. He has everything that you want from a safety, but can he do that? And I'll be anxious to see that from Sidney Brown.
I got to ask you about Brandon Graham and your thoughts about his career and your thoughts about his retirement speech yesterday. What did you think when after he spoke yesterday?
It's unbelievable, man. Not only did I've been in media right now in front of the camera, being on radio for 10 years, and I was blessed enough to be able to have him be my first interview. He's the one that got me started, and he made it comfortable with me to say, yeah, I can go out and do this thing. He is such a mannerable person that, he loves to smile. He brightens up a room. Plus, he can go out there and pass rush just as good as anybody in the league and make a difference, especially late in the game when you need a big play. That's what they're going to miss mostly from BG. I'm going to miss him just from being who he is as a person. You couldn't find a better guy to represent the Eagles organization, to be out there and really help these younger guys learn what it is to be a pro. His presence in the locker room and on the field will be missed direly by this Eagles organization. I just got to say, that's one of the best. I'm going to miss him most out of any player I've ever played with and covered since I've been in the NFL and calling games and really being a part of the NFL media.
We're speaking with Barrett Brooks. He does a tremendous job. You see him on pre- and post-game. You see him on Bird's Huddle, has a Super Bowl ring. Following up on that, Barrett, obviously early in his career he struggled. And this is one thing that we've been talking about a little bit with the draft is a guy like this year, how he may do just as well in the draft as last year, but it doesn't always show in year one. Could you talk about, obviously you played as well, how difficult it is sometimes to make that transition from college to pro right away? Because BG struggled early, but obviously had an excellent career because the Eagles had patience.
Absolutely, and his first 3 years, he wasn't the BG that we know now, right? He was just Brandon back then. He wasn't BG. He wasn't Brandon Graham. He was just Brandon back then. Due to injuries, moving around, not knowing how he wanted to play the game or what position they wanted him to play, he played edge rusher, linebacker outside the 3-4 system. We remember those days and chip days and all that. But I will say this. He never stopped wanting the desire to be great, which made him the person he is. I can remember going out and he used to say, I'm going to have a block party. He blocked everybody that said anything negative about me. He didn't block me, but, he blocked everybody else. And for him to be the guy that he is now, the total transition he had, man, that's a story, man. That's what makes his story one of the best stories I've had in the NFL. His story of becoming a guy coming in, drafting the first round, and getting a second chance to be great. And he took full advantage of it. And that's a story, not a lot of guys can go out there and give because they didn't, take advantage of the opportunity of being able to go out there and given another opportunity and taking hold of it and running with it like BG did. So I think that's the biggest thing that he leaves as far as a legacy in the NFL. He's a pillar guy, won 2 Super Bowls. He's one of 4 guys, that, they said were pillars on the team as far as, who the coaches went to, who the players went to get the message from the head coach and put it in place in the locker room. You rarely find guys that do it like BG did it, so I think his story is the biggest thing that, he leaves as a legacy, not just as an Eagle, but just being an NFL player and the man that he is.
You talked about a second chance, and he was given that second chance. A second chance not only to be a better player, to be a better leader. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He can go out there, and when he talks to players, they listen. It's like E.F. Hutton back in the day. I don't know, the younger generation doesn't know about E.F. Hutton, but when he says something, people listen to him. And they listen to him because, number one, in the locker room, what he's saying is making a lot of sense, and he's keeping these guys jovial and keeping them hyped. But number two, the results on the field. The biggest play in the Super Bowl, he was a part of that. I mean, even the last game he played in the regular season against the Rams, he was balling. The play he got hurt on was a tackle for loss on a jet sweep with a guy that's fast as all outdoors, and he was able to go out there and make a play, stop him, and he was the last line of defense. It might have been a touchdown. That's what BG brings to the table. big plays when they needed big plays, and that's what made him great. His ability to do everything in a timely manner and tell you about it when he's doing it.
Well, Barrett, we appreciate you spending some time with us today, carving out some time, man. And listen, I'm going to have to come over to your shop and check stuff out because
check your transmission.
I'm gonna have you come up, man. I'll put my truck on the lift, man, and then you come out there and deal with it like I deal with it, man. Get your hands dirty, bro.
Yep.
I mean, I know you do your thing on the radio, man, and TV, but you got to come check me out, all right?
Yeah, I'm gonna come
We'll
out.
send Silvana.
Yeah, I appreciate
No, you will
man.
not.
We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, guys, appreciate it, man.
That was Barrett Brooks, Super Bowl champion. Does a great job. Birds huddle, pre and
All-star
post game.
mechanic.
And a mechanic. I'm telling you, every
That
time I
doesn't
see
sound
Barrett,
right.
nothing I say to Barrett, I don't say to him directly. Every time he's talking about this is what I like to do. So I take the engine from this car and I work it all over there. He loves doing it. Like he
does love doing
loves it. I just don't recommend
Just
it.
make sure you do it right.
Yeah, I mean he's doing it as right as he can.
As right as but how right is that?
Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.